Welcome to the Governance Discuss, your front row seat to bold conversations on governance, politics, leadership, civic engagement, and policy across Africa and beyond. I'm your host, Veronica Pana Igube, and on today's episode, we're having a powerful conversation about the intersection of technology and democracy. We're joined by a remarkable guest, Samuel Folurunshaw, a civic innovation leader and technology expert who is using digital tools to make government more transparent, participatory, and accountable. Samuel is the founder of Legis360, an AI-driven platform transforming how citizens, civil society, and policymakers across um, have access and interact with legislative information, from a data-driven advocacy to digital rights and election observation. Samuel's work spans across Africa and is at the forefront of the civic technology movement. Samuel, it's such a pleasure to have you on the Governance Discuss. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Veronica, and it's so good to connect with you again.
I know. I mean, I saw the great work that you're doing with your organization, and I was like, no, we must have you on the podcast just to kind of break down the work that you're doing and to inform people of how they can use technology and AI as well to, push out information and change how we interact with our democracy, the government, and legislation. I know we're going to get all into that, but let's begin with what sparked your interest in using technology to solve civic and democratic challenge. I mean, it's also good if you can give us like a background of the work you used to do, because I think that it will also flow as what now sparked your interest to where you presently are.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, it's actually a very interesting story of how I got into doing technology for social good. And back then, I think it was 2014, 2015, I was in fintech. So I was actually doing technology for profits. I'm creating solutions for banks, fintech companies. Then I came across my previous organization, that is Yaga Africa. That's Samson Itodo and Saint Yombaman. And I'm like, oh, look at these young people. See the work they are doing around. It's so much, it comes with so much selflessness. Like the work they are doing around, they're not even getting paid. I don't even understand the concept of non-profit. So when you say non-profit, like, oh, people working and they are not getting paid. They are not profiting, they're not making money. So I was intrigued and I was young, so I was intrigued. Like, okay, let me go see what these people are doing. Then they invited me over. We had a conversation. And I was bought it. But proud after joining Yaga Africa, then I saw how much there's a disconnect in terms of how the citizens engage with governance and how much disconnect that you have to do. And actually, it's more of a deficit that was around that area because and then I was doing nation observation, creating technologies for and creating digital campaigns for campaigns like the Not Too Young to Run because I was really centered around how to generate buzz around it, which became successful and was passed in 2018. Then getting into practically into almost the states to set up data centers. But overall, it's the interest came from where I now begin to think that technology is a leveler, and it is only for us to digital and democracy is to me because there is no day because the world has moved to the technology space. Um, I don't know if you can still hear me. The world has
Yeah.
moved to the technology space, and if we are practicing true democracy, then the digital space too should mirror democracy. Should because as we say, human rights is exactly directly to equal to digital rights. So if you don't respect human rights online, then you don't respect human rights physically. Exactly. So that was the interest for me, and especially while let me now fast forward to Legis360, is that we noticed that there is so much misinformation around around what the legislature is and what their responsibility is, what the citizen believe the legislature is, and what the citizen also believe that their responsibility is. So we looked at how can we solve this problem? How can we bridge the gap to say, hey, this is what these people are expected to do. This is what they are doing. This is what are they doing what you've elected them to do. So it's sort of help create that openness and also help improve it, because we cannot also go anywhere if we keep saying and not trusting. So we have to reduce the trust deficit. We have to find a way to work together for democracy to grow, for democracy to advance. And that is where people like us come in, because technology now is an enabler, and we've seen how technology has been used to mobilize, to converge. We've seen stuff like likes of NSAS. So recently, we saw what the youth in Kenya were able to do in terms of their tax bill, to be able to use technology to organize. So we cannot continue to ignore that space as just a place where people go to have fun, share memes, um, laugh at each other, or in fact banter each other. It is a space where we now gather. Where, like, usually the past maybe 10 years ago, we'll be having this meeting physically. We'll have no other choice but to
True.
have it physically. But technology has helped us bridge that gap to have meetings. So it has increased our productivity. Has increased our efficiency. So why can't it increase service delivery?
I mean, it's really interesting of how civic tech is also like becoming a thing. I mean, you pointed out like how we use it for NSAS, using technology, and if we use it for communications, why can't we use it for advocacy as well, and transparency and building access? So you founded the JIT 360, right? Which is becoming a critical platform for legislative transparency. So can you kind of like walk us through what the organization does and the problem that it seeks to solve as well?
Okay, yes. I will. I would. Okay, you don't. I would have loved to share something, but I think we can just
No, you
go
can share.
ahead.
Yeah, you can share. I love.
Well, let me walk you through what we do and
Okay.
how we operate as an organization, because and what we say, one of our mandates is, we say your advocacy starts with us, and we believe in an informed citizenry, and that is why exactly what Legis360 stands for. So we are revolutionizing how legislative engagement is done across Nigeria and beyond, across Africa. So and this is a big major problem statement for us, because if you look at Nigerian democracy today, it's burdened with persistent gaps between people and their representatives. And this is at all levels, either at the National Assembly, either at the Senate, House, or even at state and local government level. People doesn't seem to trust the government with decision making, or believe that whatever decision the government has made will be to their own advantage. And there was an analysis by Afrobarometer that says only 26% of Nigerians believe that they can influence the decision made by government. So if you look at that statistics, that 26% of Nigerians out of 100 only believe that they can make contributions to what the government is proposing, then it's quite worrisome. That kind of, so these challenges are what has continually weakened democratic accountability. We've seen continuous exclusion of a marginalized group or minority groups. We've seen exclusion of women, youth, despite the the passage of the Not Too Young to Run bill. For now, the percentage of youths in parliament is less than 4%.
Mm.
The same thing goes for women. The
Women.
percentage for in parliament is less than 4%. 4% in the no 3.661% in the Senate, 3.61% in the House of Reps. So you can see that these are the issues. And when we are developing Legis360, we asked ourselves one critical question: how do people advocate when they don't know what they are advocating for? And that is this problem Legis360 has come to solve, to put the parliament right in your hands, to give you near real-time information about the activities of the people that you hired to make laws for you. So when we look at things holistically, we can begin to say, and we decided to use one, artificial intelligence. Then we decided to use data science. So we combine the emerging power of artificial intelligence and data science to be able to put together this platform. Thank you.
And it's interesting, like something I wrote down once you spoke was your advocacy starts with us. And that's really deep because when you have that information, then it's easier for you to quote statistics, right? You had the numbers of young leaders in the parliament and women. Those are the exact numbers. So when you're going to speak to people, you're more informed on your advocacy, right? So it's really interesting of how you're also including data science and AI. So that brings me to like, I want to hear some compelling stories or examples of so far since the start of your organization. How has it helped citizens or civil society to engage more effectively with the legislative process in Nigeria?
Okay, yes. Thank you, because that's also one of the important questions that we like to answer. And one of the things with legislation, say we don't just stop. Yeah, that's what informed the 360 that was included in our brand name. We don't just stop at providing you information. We don't
Hmm.
just stop at making sure that you have bills, you can download motions. We also understand that there are legal jargons, there are nuances in some of these documents that we don't expect somebody that did not read political science or law, that don't work in that space, to understand. Because if somebody says section 6 subsection 4, now how many people really understand what they are saying? So we for that. And that is where our artificial intelligence come in. We have something we call the bill analyzer on Legis360, where you can download the bill, for instance, copy the content of that bill, paste it in our analyzer. Then the analyzer will give you 5 steps of analysis. First, it's going to provide you the key provisions of that bill. It's going to give you a legal and fiscal impact that that bill might have on you as a citizen. Then it's also going to provide a contextual analysis, a comparative analysis. If that kind of law exists anywhere in the world, then it's going to provide you with recommendations. So, and all this will come in like a 3 minute read, read analysis, where so instantly, just by doing that, you don't have to go through a bill that is 15 pages. You just have to put that in an analyzer. And it's a very unbiased profile, that because we only train it with the data that we have from the National Assembly. So we don't allow it to crawl the web. The only part is where you have to do comparative analysis and check any other part of the world where those kind of laws exist. So you find yourself speaking from an informed position in less than 5 minutes. So in less than 5 minutes, so you'll be speaking from an informed position. So we begin to see more active citizenry with Legis360, especially with people that engage on our platform, because we do our A and B testing to see, okay, where are the people using our platform coming from? What are they using the information they gather from our platform? Where are they applying it? And we begin to see civil society organization. Let me just put out some numbers. When we launched in April, it's been barely 4 months. We have over 500 signups, users, registered users on the platform. Considering that this is not social media, this is a civic tech tool that you have to actually be interested in. So 500 really is impressive to us. Then we have over 100 returning users month on month that seeks for bills, look for bills, and analyze. But one of the things that we also do, we don't just stop there because we also do policy research and policy brief analysis.
Mm.
So we're one of the first people that caught we actually caught the early voting bill, no, the compulsory voting bill that was supposed to criminalize not voting in Nigeria. So what did we do? Because we also believe in collaborations. We believe that our voice might actually not be loud enough. There are people that have been in this sector that could influence policies, go further. So we took the bill and shared it with the community of civil society experts. And through that advocacy, through that action alone, the sponsor of the bill, in the Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, withdrew the bill that it is not, citizen did not want it, it is not in the right frame, even though the intentions might be good to get more people to vote, but it is, you cannot criminalize Nigerians for not voting. So, and that was actually a big win for us because it shows that when people know these things, they can engage. You can imagine that kind of bill has scaled through second reading, gone through because it will, and the dangers are it won't be named. Why some of this information are difficult to find is that it wasn't going to be named compulsory voting bill. It was going to be named constitutional amendment bill on the floor of the house. So you would, just by seeing the title, you will never know what the content is.
Easy to miss. It's easy
You
to
will never
miss
know.
that. It's easy to miss that.
Don't just miss it. Exactly. So that so we what we do is that we don't just go. We look beyond the nomenclatures around the bill. We look into the content of these bills. So it's another bill where we were able to catch early was the reserve seat for women bill when we begin advocacy. So we've designed infographics around that. We're beginning to gather momentum around that. So, and you can see how the push, the advocacy, everybody practically, people come to Legis360 to do analysis of that bill themselves. And everybody can pick an angle. This is what concerns me. I'm not interested in national level. I just want women representation at the state level. And you can begin to see advocacies at different levels of this thing. We also spot another bill recently that is our latest policy brief that we released. A bill that seeks to remove local government as a tier of government. And a lot of Nigerians don't even know about this yet because the bill is awaiting second reading. So, and if you look at the implications of that, local government is in charge of universal basic education. They're in charge of healthcare. They are mostly in
Healthcare.
charge of vaccination. Yes, like primary health care, you can look at vaccination, polio vaccination, anti-malaria vaccination, and vitamin A vaccination. So if you remove local government as a tier of government, what is the guarantee? And with the records, the statistics has proven for states like Anambra that didn't conduct local government election for probably 15 years. But they only decided to do it when the local government autonomy came because they now know that the money isn't going to come to state government. The money now will go directly to local government. That's when they were forced to do it. Both because statistics has proven to us that states are not interested in local government. So in that sort of big scale,
Mm.
then we'll be battling, it will be an epidemic actually, because we'll be battling with basic things for children, for instance. So, and that is why the work we do is extremely important. That is why the work we do is vital to the sustenance of democracy, to the sustenance of service delivery in Nigeria.
I mean, it's important because the way it's easy to miss, right? I mean, when you have a constitutional reform that hides within it and tries to add like you will be penalized if you do not vote, right, in Nigeria. And how you even spoke about the local government taking that tier out. It's so critical that you can't take it because they're at the grassroots level. They're the ones that engage with the people at the grassroots. So imagine taking out that. I mean, it's so critical the work you did. And I mean, as you spoke, what I just thought of was the quick response, right? Because when people are more informed, they speak better from a place of being informed, right? It's more like show walkings and they are quick to respond, right? Because they have the facts and it's easier for them to speak up as well. But I mean, when you were speaking, you spoke about how AI is also included in your platform. So, like, AI is at the heart of your platform as well. How do you
Yeah.
see AI shaping the future of governance as well and public accountability in Africa?
Yeah, that's always a very interesting intersection because AI, as with every industrial revolution, because I can tell you when calculator was introduced to the world, teachers protested that it is going to damage our brain as students, and it's no different from the conversations around artificial intelligence now about
Now,
its
yeah.
pros and cons. But for me as an individual, I've moved past the pros and cons. I begin to now see what exactly are the gaps that artificial intelligence can fill. And that is why I call it an amplifier of the work that we are already doing. So artificial intelligence is not here to create new ways. It's just here to improve our efficiency, like I said, increase service delivery. So if it takes me probably 3 days to complete an analysis with the help of artificial intelligence, I can look at those documents faster and come to a logical conclusion in almost like 2 hours or an hour, depending on the volume of work I have to do. But as regards to your question, that how do I see artificial intelligence in governance? I think it is to improve governance, actually, and it's now depend on the policies and the frameworks that will create around it. Because and these technologies don't exist in silos; they exist by the people and the powers behind them. So if we start creating the right frameworks, start building our own use cases as a government or as a region, for instance, we will begin to see the applicability of artificial intelligence in governance. And we are beginning to see its shape because as much as we try to be critical of the government or we want to be critical of the government, we should be able to also point out some key changes. Now, at least as with the passport office, you can see the improved efficiency in how the international passport have been processed. You can see, and that is what technology does for you. It come and improve governance, and that is governance on itself. So when we say digital democracy, e-governance, that is governance on itself. When people had to leverage technology to interface with government institutions. So it's going to change a lot of things, and like we're already doing with Legis360, proud to Legis360, you can practically not find bills anywhere in Nigeria. While we acknowledge that there have been platforms before that have tried to do the same thing and they've actually done tremendous work, but we have come with a new approach, leveraging AI as something to be able to provide a near real time synopsis. So imagine that as a business owner, and it goes beyond advocacy actually. As a business owner now, you can make informed decisions about how to invest, where to invest, and when to invest based on the laws and the policies that are being made on the floor of the house. Because as much as we try to ignore it, everything we do is centered around policies, is centered around laws. So you can't even function as an individual without the government, without the decisions of these lawmakers. And that's why we urge citizens. You cannot shy away from interacting with government because they affect you one way or the other. Your life can change drastically overnight just by the eyes have it. By the bang of a gavel, your life can change drastically. And I can cite examples. We've seen the likes of Gokada in Lagos, that the business became lost overnight just because motorcycles were banned on major roads. And that is a multi-million-dollar business that just went down under the radar. For somebody like me that saw how my mother's export business when I was much more younger went under because she's not aware about laws around imports that was just passed, and she had already invested her money, and the borders were closed.
Mm.
And those are those are practical life examples that we can begin into, because if we start seeing it beyond advocacy, we can start seeing now that these are what AI has come to do to help us process information faster, to help us make decisions quicker. So instead of having to stall on decisions, we are now quick with decision making. We are quick with interacting with each other. So I see it going further, taking um, our democracy further. To cite another example, I think last year, while I was still at my previous organization, we did a research that was supposed to say, okay, artificial intelligence and election management, for instance. How are we using AI to improve election management? And the research will shock you that the problems were not more because of adoption, it's more because of understanding, that people don't even understand how this technology is supposed to work. The capacity to use this technology as government institutions is not available. So you will now begin to see, as as a country, as a region, are we actually investing rightly? Are we positioning ourselves
Mm.
rightly to be able to harness the power of artificial intelligence? And let me not stray into maybe possibly your next question, so I'll stop.
I mean, so you said operated in April and till now, what challenges have you faced, right? And a lot of Nigerians may not be able to, I mean, because of the lack of access to technology and interactions. What are the plans of your organization to also reach people who have less access to digital tools as well, to be able to benefit like from the work that your organization is doing?
Yes, thank you so much. What the question you just asked is actually one of the areas that we've been looking into for the past few months, and as someone that has also deployed technology on almost every scale, because I've always been an advocacy of it is not the fanciness of the tech, it is the effectiveness. So we've always prioritized functionality over design. So as an organization, that is how we approach the use of technology. So one of the major areas that we've started exploring is to how to deliver synopsis by SMS to remote areas that might not have access to internet, for instance. So and with the continuous improvement around that, the work that the likes of the Minister of Digital Economy is doing in terms to put um, fiber optics in all the 774 local government that we have in country. So those are the partnerships that we are looking to possibly explore to see how we can interface with government agencies, with private individuals that are working in these organizations. And it's beyond direct access by technology. We're also taking a step down to create we create policy briefs in readable formats, in print format that we also disseminate. So if you can't access some of these things digitally, you should be able to access them physically. So those are the things. We're also creating cohorts. We are creating ambassadors across the states that will take this message further in local languages, so
Mm.
that can also interpret what the bill is to people that doesn't speak English, that doesn't know the construct of the constitution, the construct of the law, that could break it down in layman terms. And hopefully with more access to funding, we can we can now begin to do educational materials, maybe by radios that